Folks, as you all know, normally when we have Twila on, we tend to talk about what's going on in the world, the political world, specifically having to do with the healthcare system and with our health freedoms. But we decided to deviate from that today and give Twila the opportunity to get to speak to her friendship with Dan and what Dan meant to her. So let's do that right now here, Twila. I'd love for you to share with our listeners, just as we open, how did you first meet Dan? And what was it about Dan that kind of drew you to him?
Well, I first met Dan because when we started the Health Freedom Minutes, we both happened to have the very same agency that was doing PR and radio for us. And that agency took us both to the national radio broadcasters to sort of ship us around between owner of radio stations to try to get our blurb or whatever it was, our program, onto their station. And our agency had both Dan and I in the same group as we walked from owner to owner or management team to management team. And Yvonne was there as well. And so that was how I first met him. And we didn't have a whole lot of time to talk because we were talking to the agencies, or to the radio stations rather. And then Dan was just a really a generous, kind person who is down to earth. But very passionate, very driven by the Lord, very mission focused, and he was a direct and honest person. So I think it was interesting as I got to know him longer and learned about his physical difficulties that he never let that get in the way of anything.
Absolutely, boy, that's awesome, Twila, and it's so cool to hear. Twila, when did you guys first meet? I know you guys you knew Dan for a pretty long time.
Well, that was at the National Radio Broadcasters meeting. I don't know. It might have been like 2009 or 2010. It was a long time ago.
Yeah. Wow. It's amazing. Twila, tell us just a little bit about, you talked about Dan's passion and, how he was such a fierce defender of what he believed in, and how he also never let his own health issues get in the way of that. He just continued on. Tell us a little bit about your shared mission with Financial Issues and CCH Freedom. What are the uniting qualities of those organizations, and how did your friendship with Dan kind of play into that?
Well, I think both Dan and I and our organizations really believe in freedom and liberty, the individual, the Constitution, the individual rights. We're big into truth, and we're big into facts and making sure that people know what's actually happening. Now, at one point, Dan and I had discussed me coming and doing an actual program every week on his television station, but we didn't have the time. The timing wasn't quite right for our organization, so that never happened. But the Health Freedom Update on the program, on his program, was his idea. And he came to us and said, I have this idea, and I'd like you to come on every month. So that probably started maybe 7 years after Dan and I had met, and we hadn't really talked in the middle of that. But he had remembered our time in Nashville together and had decided that would be a good thing to do with his program. So I think he was always thinking. He was always thinking of the next best thing, the next interesting thing that would be good for his listeners, particularly in the environment of the world that we are in now, but also we're in back there. And then our friendship, it's interesting because it really happened in the 2 minutes. Okay, come on. I can do this. The 2 minutes before our program together and the 2 minutes after. So that was just a very special time to talk with him. So I'm sorry for your listeners. I don't even know if you can hear my voice, but it was a very special time, and I will miss it. One of the things about Dan, which I forgot to mention, is, and even you, Seth, right here at the beginning of the program, encouraging people to donate to our organization. Now, see, that's really rare for an organization who has their own donors to ask their donors to donate to another organization. And, that was Dan. His generosity was just kind of amazing and just so appreciated. And I felt like he was God's gift to us because it really helped us to grow. And so, there's a lot of things to miss about Dan. His he just had such a passion for what he was doing, but he always wanted it to be about truth, and he always wanted everybody to know to do the right thing. He was always looking to do the right thing, and he was just a personable guy that you were glad that you knew. And he had fire in him, right? So he had some, physical difficulties, but the fire just kind of poured out of him.
Yeah.
Like he was living every moment of his life to the max.
Amen. Amen. Absolutely. Twyla, I appreciate not only your vulnerability coming on to the program here, but also sharing your heart on what Dan meant to you. And I know it's blessing me and it's blessing our listeners as well.